and twice they asked her how she was going to make American lives better. She didn't have an answer. What are you going to do to help us? Right? And then what? Like 3 weeks ago, Trump comes out with the no tax on tips. That's going to help people that are waiters, waitresses, bartenders, valet parkers, anybody that works for tips. And then now, a few days ago, he comes out with no tax, right, on overtime. It's that kind of shit that helps Americans.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a major update on the Kamala Harris campaign and why the latest polls are signaling a total disaster for her. Now this is pretty serious, and I want to break it down in a way that we can all relate to, so grab your drink, sit back, and let's talk about what's really happening with Kamala's campaign and why it matters. Alright, so first things first. Kamala Harris, our vice president, is in big trouble right now. The polls after her recent debate are not looking good. In fact, they're downright bad. But let's pause for a second. How did we even get here?
A survey from the Council of American Islamic Relations found that 40% of Michigan's Muslim American voting population plan to back Green Party candidate Jill Stein. 18% plan to support President Trump. 12% want VP Harris, and 4% plan to vote for Cornel West. This seems pretty significant, Kyle, specifically after more than 100,000 voters in Michigan in the primary voted uncommitted. Is this a massive red flag for the Harris campaign, given that there's only about 7 weeks until Election Day?
It is, and for a couple reasons. I mean, think about the mainstream coverage of Donald Trump and Muslims. It is 100% negative. And so the fact that this poll shows, and it's a CARE poll, which, CARE does not like Donald Trump. But the fact that this poll shows that more Michigan Muslims support Donald Trump than supports Kamala Harris is, that is major. But then when you look at the top line of the poll, and it shows that 40% of Michigan Muslims support Jill Stein, to me, that is major red flags for Harris. And there's been a lot of coverage about the fact that is RFK going to Jill Stein. To me, that is major red flags for Harris. And there's been a lot of coverage about the fact that is RFK going to be on the ballot? Is he not going to be on the ballot in Michigan? Cornel West, as RFK was put back on the ballot, Cornel West was also put on the ballot, and so he theoretically is going to take votes away from Kamala Harris. But she has a major problem with Michigan Muslims because they don't like what Biden has done, and she, of course, has, in their opinion, has not been outspoken enough. And so this is a very significant problem for her because there are hundreds of thousands of Muslims who are very paying attention to what is going on. And so I think what we'll see is that this is going to get worse if it ever gets better.
Remember back when Kamala was considered this rising star in politics, someone who was going to help lead the Democrats to victory? Well, fast forward to today, and it's almost like her campaign is falling apart, especially in key states like Michigan. So what's going on? Okay, let's talk numbers for a minute. So there was this poll in Michigan. Now, Michigan is a major battleground state, right? It turns out that 40% of Michigan's Muslim voters are backing Jill Stein of the Green Party. Yup, Jill Stein. And if you thought it couldn't get worse for Harris, only 12% of these voters are supporting her. That's crazy low for someone who's supposed to represent a lot of their interests. Even Donald Trump is doing better with them. And we all know Trump isn't exactly known for his support of Muslim communities. What does this mean for Harris? Well, it's a big red flag because if she's losing in states like Michigan, where the Muslim vote could be crucial, her chances of winning get slimmer and slimmer. And let's face it, in swing states like Michigan, every single vote counts. Now, why is she struggling so much? You'd think being the vice president would give her an edge, right? But here's the thing, it's all about policy, folks. Voters want to know, what are you going to do to help me? And Kamala Harris hasn't been able to answer that clearly. Twice. She was asked in interviews how she was going to make life better for Americans. And instead of giving real solutions, she talked about her childhood, her background, things that don't actually answer the question. Meanwhile, Trump is coming out with policies that directly impact people's wallets. Just a few weeks ago, he announced no taxes on tips and overtime. If you're a bartender, a waitress, or working extra hours to make ends meet, that's huge. People are paying attention to that kind of stuff. It's the bread and butter issues that win elections, and right now, Trump's hitting all the right notes. Let's rewind for a second and compare this to 2020. Back then, Joe Biden was in a similar situation, but the difference was he didn't have a record to defend. He was a fresh face against Trump. Kamala, on the other hand, has been in the spotlight as vice president for almost 4 years now, and voters can compare her record to what Trump is offering. Unfortunately for her, that comparison isn't working in her favor. In fact, she's polling worse than any Democrat in modern history against Trump. Just to give you an idea, in a recent national poll, Trump is at 50.9% support. That's huge. He's never reached that high before. Harris? She's trailing behind badly, and it's looking like she won't be able to close the gap unless something drastic changes. Now, here's where it gets even more personal. Harris's interviews aren't helping. I mean, she's had a few moments where she's really struggled to give clear answers. One of the most painful examples was during a recent ABC interview where she couldn't explain how her policies would help Americans. People notice that kind of stuff. It's not just about the big speeches or fancy campaigns anymore. We live in a time where everything gets clipped, goes viral, and suddenly you're the meme of the day. And unfortunately for Kamala, a lot of her moments have not been positive. So, where does this leave us? Honestly, it's not looking good for Kamala Harris. Between her struggle to connect with voters, her poor performance in key swing states like Michigan, and the fact that people aren't seeing real policy changes that affect their lives, her campaign is in serious danger. If she doesn't find a way to turn things around fast, we might be looking at a 2016 repeat where the unexpected happens and Trump overperforms again. But what do you guys think? Is there still time for Harris to make a comeback, or is it too late? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if you enjoyed this video and want to stay up to date with all the latest political news and analysis, make sure to hit that asterisk button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks so much for watching. Stay informed, stay focused, and I'll catch you in the next one.
And twice they asked her how she was going to make American lives better. She didn't have an answer. What are you going to do to help us? Right? And then what? Like 3 weeks ago, Trump comes out with the no tax on tips. That's going to help people that are waiters, waitresses, bartenders, valet parkers, anybody that works for tips. And then now, a few days ago, he comes out with no tax, right, on overtime. It's that kind of shit that helps Americans, right? So after sleeping on it for a while, I'm sorry, Kamala, but I'm voting for Trump, man. I'm gonna vote for the candidate that's gonna help my life, man. And right now, Trump, you got my vote.